super interesting story. José, good to see you here in Madrid. Good to have you in our portfolio, of course.
Pleasure to be here, and pleasure to be part of your portfolio as well.
Very good. And let's start at the beginning. How did you come up with this idea to do what was called at the time 360 Imprimir, and now it's called Bizay?
Sure. First of all, just a brief introduction on my side. So my name is José, co-founder of Bizay, and also proud first endeavor entrepreneurs in Portugal. So going to our story and maybe starting from where we are today and then going back 10 years. So as of today, we are a company selling across 30 markets, across Europe, South America, North America as well. And we do it as a platform selling custom products and processing more than 1 million orders per year. And so going back 10 years, so today we are a company with 200 people, mostly tech people. Going back 10 years, we were 3 co-founders, basically outside of this industry, and we were looking to create our own companies. Starting by myself, I studied in the US, and they have always this entrepreneurial vibe, and so I wanted to create my company as well. And so we were looking to what company should we create, and in fact, we tried with other companies before Bizay with other ideas, and we were trying to, in fact, buy custom products, and the prices were extremely expensive, and we couldn't understand why. And so we went into understanding why were these products so expensive, because when you're in the beginning and you're building your company, your brand, you always need those custom products. And so basically
it was about business cards at the time, and eventually some merchandising,
some swag products as well. And so basically we thought, like, why are these products so expensive? And so the 3 co-founders, we are always hands-on and good on operations and understanding logistics as well. And so we went to visit those suppliers and trying to understand, like, why, if we look at the cost of raw materials and cost of productions, why in the end of the line those products are so expensive. And so we saw a big opportunity there. We started to dig in, and we saw that first the market was huge. Like, considering all the products we sell today, from packaging to swag products to drinkware, it's a huge category segment, one of the biggest industries in the world, more than 800 billion worldwide. And the fact is that it's a huge market, but really fragmented. So with a lot of suppliers that are stuck in the past, with no technology, and where they still don't look at the supply, at demand. They look at demand the same way they were looking like 50 years before. And so basically what we thought is, like, there's a huge opportunity here to digitize this huge market. And so we got all in, and that's why 10 years after we've done this successful business that is growing, and we can do much more.
Yeah, I think you're still at the beginning of the journey, really, which points to the fact that things take time and you take turns. And even in our case, at the beginning, when we met you, we were not sure about the journey. And when we invested a few years ago, we got hooked, and we really think that it's a next unicorn coming out of Portugal. So I think one of the things that was really impressive in what you did, and probably not very intuitive, is the fact that you have digitized a whole supply chain. Nowadays we speak a lot about digitizing industries. That normally people think it's like putting a form online, and instead of paperwork you do it digitally. But you went way, way further than that, right? You actually integrated with the printers, you got them into your network, and you have now access to a resource that is not available for others. So in the meantime, you've built an incredible defense strategy and moat where actually others can't copy you, right? Because you have all the systems and all the agreements, all the legal agreements in place, so that when people want a paper bag or a t-shirt or even furniture that is personalized, they'll have to go through you, basically. How did you come up with this, with the systems to make it work and with the agreements?
I mean, the idea basically came when, like, we were asking these suppliers, so if we bring you an order, this will cost, like, let's say, like 200 euros. But then if I bring you like 50 orders, the same product, but with different designs, how much does it cost? And it was like 250. So it doesn't make sense. Like you're producing like 50 orders more, and like there's 50 plus euros of cost. And so we didn't dig in and understand like how does the manufacturing process works, and how can we bring technology to make sure that this batching process that we saw in the beginning, so the fact that when you join orders together to be produced at the same time, you get this huge leverage, which is what we call the batching process, where we basically dilute this setup process. Because the point is, we are talking about industrial manufacturers, and they always have huge setup costs when starting to produce the job, because every job is different, so we're talking about customized products. And so the point is, the fact that we bring together different orders together to be produced at the same time, and we do it on our side, so it's not like a pure marketplace approach where you're just like sending each order at a time to our suppliers, which is also something that our competitors do. Instead, we batch different orders together to be produced at the same time, bearing in mind all the restrictions on productions, bearing in mind the capacity they have, and understanding deeply what are the cost drivers, how does each step of the value chain works, and who's the best supplier for that. And with that, we have huge cost advantages like less than 50%, more than 50% of reduction. And that's a huge advantage that we pass through the customer, because that's what we saw in the beginning, right? We were buying custom products and the price was too expensive for small quantities. And secondly, we are also getting the margin to invest on customer acquisition, etc. And so the point is that we have here two big modes that are within what we call our supply chain platform. The first one is that we obviously orchestrate this supply chain. So we sell in South America and Brazil, we sell in Europe, we sell in the US with no people at the ground. So the team is based, mostly of the team is based out of Portugal. And so we orchestrate this supply chain. We choose the best suppliers. And secondly, there's this batching process where we aggregate multiple orders to be produced at the same time. And with that, we have this huge cost advantage. There's the third one that is part of our mode, which is, as of today, we are the biggest platform in terms of product categories, in terms of custom products. And so combining all of that, and after 10 years, we built this tremendous supply chain platform, and that we now need to spill the wind faster.
Right.
And that's what we're up to.
Very difficult to replicate what you've done. Now, another part of the secret sauce was and has been what you mentioned, the customer acquisition model, and the fact that you're really good at doing customer acquisition and going through platforms like Google and others to actually attract first-time customers. How did you build that expertise?
Basically, once again, like we look at the customization industry, we had no expertise on that.
No?
If we look at customer acquisition, we had no expertise on that. And in fact, our initial plans, and we laugh about it because like we were thinking that we would go each customer at a time with sales, with key accounts, etc. And that's not what we are doing today. And so basically, once again, we went in to understand how digital marketing works. In fact, it was in the beginning one of your other companies that told us like we're using digital marketing, etc. And so we went to understand like does it really work? And suddenly like it exploded. And so from there we started to build this internal expertise in terms of digital marketing. Also because in the market there was not a lot of resources with know-how to do it. And in fact they now come to get our people, or to try to get it, to be good at digital marketing.
The rumor is that you know more about Google than Google themselves, right? Google Ads. And then you touched on something also different. You went from paper products to so many categories. How did you manage to expand so quickly to have the largest global catalog nowadays of printing products in the world? How did you manage to expand the categories so much across 30 different markets in such a short time?
I mean, once I read this book from Reid Hoffman, the Blitz Scaling, and he says that like in the beginning you need to do things that don't scale. And so when we were launching the initial product categories, we were doing it in a way that was not scalable. And so the fact that we saw that we were having tremendous growth and tremendous success on launching new products, made us understand like we need to build a factory, really like a process, to then going from launching a few products per year to massively launch new product categories. And so we went deep into like split each step of those launching process. So we need to find, really first understand how does that product category works, because they are all different. You have different producers, different ways it works in terms of customization. Then we need to find the right suppliers. Then we need to understand like if we need to adjust our technology to bring those products into our website. And then finally, we need to launch those products in our website and then have the go-to-market strategy. And so we split each of those steps and really like thought about how to make this an industrial process and to be now the biggest catalog in the world for custom products.
Yeah, but at the same time, particularly during the pandemic when, when small businesses were closed, and I was already on the board, things were not easy, right? Suddenly your customers are not buying, and you had to cut costs like anybody else. And there was, we had just come in actually, just prior to the pandemic, and we were all kind of supporting you in trying to sort of make sure that the company would go slimmer, get more efficient. What were the things that you did when things were not going that well in those years? What were the key decisions that you took as management and founders, to keep the company steady and then prepared for another phase of growth?
I mean, it was definitely a very tough time, and good we had supporting investors as Indico and as the other investors, because from one month to the other we lost 80% of our revenue. So from one month to the other you do nothing and you have no market, because at the time we were mostly selling to small businesses that they were all closed. Yeah. And so it really was a tough time. But once again, I believe that what is in the DNA of the founders, that is also now today in the DNA of the team, is really being resilient. And so what we thought was, if we can survive this, we can survive anything. And so we went inside, really trying to understand like how to cut costs, because obviously that was the first impact at the time. Because we knew that sooner or later the world would get to normal. And so it was a matter of us being resilient, survive that process, and also we leverage that time to build other things within the company, to launch new product categories, and basically that's what we did. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there was another big decision that you took in the last year and a half or so, which was to go fully remote and 4 days a week work, which I was actually not very convinced.
True story.
But I was probably the person that voted against, but I knew we were going to do it, and I think it's a good trial. I mean, why did you decide to do 4 days weeks work instead of 5, and fully remote team in addition to sort of cost cutting and office space? Why did you decide to do that?
It's funny because like back in the early days we were really the opposite mindset. So all our team members needed to be in the office, no remote, no 4 days or something like that. And when we came to you, that we were discussing this opportunity, it was a surprise to us that, like, in fact, you were on the opposite side. No, but I mean, the point is, through the pandemic and even before that, we understood that, like, we have a team that is really resilient and that is really committed to our project. Because if they are not committed to the project, we believe that it's better for them to find another opportunity. And so the point is, we really believe that people should have more flexibility. And it is true that for younger generations, especially in the tech world, we have, like, half of our team is tech, product management, data science, and they have different values in mind. And for them, one of that is being flexible, being remote, and also having more time for their work-life balance. And for us, it was really, I mean, what we need is not the time that the team allocates to the business. What we need is really the results. And what we told, and we were honest and open to the team, saying, I mean, this is a test. if it doesn't deliver results, we'll reverse it and get back to 5 days at the office. If it works and it's in your hands to make it happen, then we are happy to do it because in the end, everyone wins. And the fact that the results are there, we have better productivity, higher productivity, less churn, which is also something important in the tech world. And so in the end, we believe that it paid off to do this change.
Yeah.
Even against your opinion.
Even against my opinion. So I'm happy to be wrong. And now let's talk about the future. You are super strong in Europe. Obviously, the Portuguese market is important, but you went abroad immediately because it's such a small market that you had to go global. You went to South America, and now you have re-entered the US market. What are the plans, and why did you re-enter the US market?
Yes, I mean, we have two big opportunities ahead. One is the US market. So we started there 1 year ago with the same approach, so having local suppliers that do the production, we do the customer acquisition, so we bring together supply and demand, and we use our batching system to make the connection. And the fact is that probably, and that's one of the lessons learned I've got through this process, that we took too much time to enter new markets. So in the beginning, we were doing Portugal, then Spain, then Brazil. We took too much time to enter other European markets. And also, we took too much time to enter the US. Probably we were too afraid of all the international competitors. Because the point of what we see today is that we are having a tremendous growth, tremendous success, so growing 20% month on month. And the US is, in fact, already on one of not the top markets, but the second tier for us, with tremendous opportunity, deep market, as we all know. It is true that you need to have a go-to-market strategy. You have to have market fit. But the truth is that, as in all the other markets, it's the same. So we built a very powerful tool, which is our supply chain tool, the supply chain orchestration, the batching system, this huge catalog. And so we can sell it in Brazil, we can do it in Brazil, in Europe, in the US. It's always the same. Obviously, we need to localize our catalog. We need to localize our go-to-market, a lot of stuff. But in the end, what we see is that as long as we do it properly and the same way we did in the other markets, we have success, and that's what we are experiencing in the US market. And so we plan to keep investing a lot in the US market to grow fast. And to have the US as one of our biggest markets. Because as you always say, it's a Champions League market, and so we want to win in the Champions League market.
We always push our companies to go to the US. As you know, I think all our unicorns are American to a certain extent. They become American sooner or later, and then they become unicorns. And that's precisely what I expect from you. So,
and I believe that that's something very positive from Indico, because you bring ambition to the teams. Not like go big or go home, but close to that. So, I believe that's very important for European companies because we need that passion and that ambition.
Yeah. No, and it is true that when you come from a small market, Portugal very small, but even Spain is kind of small. If you don't go global from day one, it's not a good recipe, right?
Yes.
So what other sort of parting advice would you give to entrepreneurs that are starting the journey? They also would like to reach, a 50 to 60 million revenue as you're going to have this year. What do you think are the major lessons learned? If you could go back and say to your younger self, what do you have to focus on really?
I mean, first of all, you need to have focus, because as a startup, as a company that wants to grow fast, you always have a lot of different opportunities, and you need to be disciplined and really trying to understand where should you focus, because in the end, there's a lot of times that you end up doing stuff that doesn't matter, that doesn't move the needle. But obviously, on the other way around, as I was saying in the beginning, you need to do things that don't scale, or that they seem that they don't scale, but you need those to hack growth and really start the process. Something that we did very well from the beginning was our North Star, and usually people will ask what's your North Star, and for us it has always been revenue growth, because obviously branding is important, being in events is important, connections, networks is important. There's a lot of stuff that is important, but in the end, you're building a business. If you don't have revenue, you're not a business.
There's no business.
I don't know. You
Absolutely.
can be a lot of stuff, but you're not a business. And so, definitely having your North Star, it's very important. But in the other way around, and something that we are now doing better than we were doing before, is also understand, like, once you've built something that is very powerful, how to leverage that on the shoulders of others. So, for instance, something that we are now doing is, given that we've built this tremendous supply chain platform, how can we let other brands, other e-commerces to leverage on our one with build?
Very good, very good. José, thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm counting on your company to be our 4th unicorn in this fund. Good luck, and we're counting on it.
We'll do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.